Season 2 of More Able Than This is sponsored by the Music Department at Georgia College and State University. In addition to bachelor's degrees in music and music therapy, including a BA plus MAT path to initial teacher certification, GCNSU offers an online master's degree in music education for certified teachers seeking to expand or improve their knowledge and skills, as well as a hybrid Master of Arts in Teaching degree for those seeking initial music teacher certification in Georgia. We accept certified and licensed teachers from across the U.S., and Georgia certification is reciprocal with most other states, so don't let state boundaries deter you from applying. Apply now to start in summer or fall 2026. Contact tina.holmes-davis@gcsu.edu for more information about the graduate music education degrees at Georgia College and State University. A special thanks to Zildjian Cymbals for their support of the Center for Music Education at Georgia College and State University. The Zildjian Company has been synonymous with setting the standard for the development and manufacture of high-performance musical instruments since 1623. As the world's leading maker of cymbals, drumsticks, and percussion mallets, Zildjian products are sold across the globe under the Zildjian, Vic Firth, and Balter brands, and are the standard to which all cymbals, drumsticks, and mallets are measured. Riley Raburn is a first-year chorus teacher at Peach County High School in Georgia, and she is in the MAT Music Education program at Georgia College and State University, with plans to graduate this summer and earning her teacher certification. So just start out by telling us about your plan for your disabled students to perform with your choir in your choir concert.
Right. So this past concert we did for Christmas was a combined band and chorus concert, as they very often are. And one of the things that I did just as like a one-off, like one of the teachers who I'm closer to in the special ed department came and texted me and was like, "Hey, are you doing anything right now during your planning?" I was like, "No." And she said, "I know you have boom whackers. Is there any way you would sacrifice your time and come like do boom whackers with the kids in my class?" And I was like, 100%, any excuse to get the boom whackers out, I'm all for it.
Right.
We don't often do those in like choir, and any excuse to do those little videos, I'm like all for it. And I was like, yes, of course. And I had the conversation with her, and I was like, how do I need to be? Because I personally haven't ever worked with special needs students before like that in a music capacity. But so I talked to her, and she was like, just treat them like normal high school students. And I was like, okay, 100%, got it. Started passing out boom whackers. It was Christmas time, so we did a lot of like chord boom whackers. And then the teacher tells me, oh, well, we've been doing Wonderful Christmas Time, I think it was, or Most Wonderful Time of the Year. There you go.
Okay.
And it's wonderful and it's Christmas, you know. So one of those songs. And she was like, oh, well, we've been doing this for the past like 3 years with the past chorus teacher. And I was like, well, let's do it. Obviously, like, okay, 100%. And then we clicked play on the video, and they were so on it. And it was like half speed, but it was still okay. And they were so good with those boom whackers. They knew exactly what they were doing. And then they were like, all right, let's do it full speed. We're going to do it fast. And 100% they were all in it and started going at it. And I was like, ooh, trying to keep up with these kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it gets dusty. But they were so great. And I talked to the teacher, my friend, and I was like, well, have they ever like had a music program or music therapy or anything, that kind of sort of thing at the school? And she was like, no, we don't really have the funding for it. And there's just never been like a right time. So I was like, well, I'd love to have a section, because my choirs are only doing 2 songs a piece for this Christmas concert we're doing. I would love to have a section where, like, if we could get it together, the kids could come and do it, because we don't have an auditorium at my school. We have a cafetorium, which means we have a stage in the cafeteria. And so literally what we could do was roll the clear touch, like smartboard from the stage down to the area and put it like catty corner to where the students could be in an area, and so they could still see the video and engage. Or we could have had it blocking the audience, whatever was gonna be like less sensory okay for them. Or on the stage. We didn't get to experiment with it, but we had the kids doing the boomwhackers, and I did it 2 or 3 times with them. The plan was to go every week, but unfortunately, because the parents' availabilities didn't match up, because we didn't do it as soon as we would have liked to, we didn't do it at the concert. But we are planning to do it next year with some pre-planning. And then I might do it again for our spring concert.
Yeah, and just change tunes.
Let them do like some pre-show music, do a little moment, or some transitions during that. We'll see. But yeah, so that was kind of the plan. But they were so like on it and at it, and like our kids with mobility issues were still going at it. And I think they really liked the colors as well, just because like they would fight over, not like literally, but like they would argue back and forth over like which parts were doing it the best, because they were the different colors. And I was like, absolutely 100%. And so passing him, and I had him switch colors a couple of times. And it was just a really like cool experience for me, not having worked with those students a lot in like my not having worked with this like demographic a lot in my experience. And that kind of has inspired me, as well as like taking our exceptional child class, to talk to them and be like, okay, so what can we set up either every other week or every week, once a week, during my planning, for me to come and do like some kind of music program with them.
Sorry, my dog found her bone.
No, it's okay. So that has turned into, we're going to actually potentially have a music program specifically for these students, catered to them, whether I go to their room or they come to mine. And I'm going to write some grants and hopefully get some classroom instruments instead of just the boomwhackers, which are fine for now, but eventually we get some funding for some drums and some like elementary instruments that are a little bit easier, instead of just the choral stuff that I have.
Sure. So let me back up for people who don't know. What you're putting on the smart screen are the YouTube videos with the boomwhacker kind of play-alongs. Yeah. And you just Google those?
Yeah, so there are different ones. I like to use, I can't remember the channel, but there are like the classic ones with like the chords where it's all kinds of different colors at the same time. And there's one channel who does like a whole bunch of music education games. And they have them to where it's like follow the bouncing ball. And so instead of giving chords to a song, it's a melody to the song. One of my favorite ones that they put out is In the Hall of the Mountain King. And so you have a couple of kids doing the bass lower parts, and then the bum 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 bum, and then they do the sustain thing. But if you Google Boomwhacker videos, you'll see them. And they're animated too. And they have like background images. And for Moana, they have How Far I'll Go. They have the
Oh,
characters,
yeah.
like all of the things. So I love that guy stuff specifically.
All right.
But because they're a little easier to follow and they're a little more visually engaging than
Mm.
color block, you know?
Yeah, the color blocks work too. But yeah, so tell me, you said you have some students that are physically, sorry. So you said you have some students, sorry, that are physically challenged. So are you talking like, are they wheelchair users? Do they have spasticity in their hands? What are we talking about?
Yeah. Wheelchair users, and then we have some wheelchair users who are capable with their hands, and then we have some students who are not altogether. I don't really know like the proper verbiage
That's
to
okay.
use, but like yes, we have some who are more just there. And our teachers, like the teachers in the room, were helping them do it on their desks and everything as well. So
Okay. So yeah, so as long as we have enough help.
right.
Yeah. So, and I imagine, a lot of people that have spasticity, it's not just that they can't control their limbs. When they get excited, things move that shouldn't move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it gets to be really kind of fun to play with because they can't hide the fact that they're excited. Now, tell us about some of your other students, the ones that are not necessarily physically disabled. Who else do you have?
I teach 2 choir classes and a music appreciation class. There, it is a very, I'm very fortunate to teach in a super diverse school,
Mm-hmm.
plans wise, and then also just diversity in general. All of my students are very unique. I have a
Mm-hmm.
big choir who is mostly ninth graders and some 12th graders that they just like to throw places, but
Uh-huh.
I actually like drag and I'm like, no, you're gonna love it. I promise.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
love it.
That sounds like you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but with your group of disabled students, in addition to physical disability, what do you have?
Yeah, so I have those kids
Hmm.
um come in with me. So I'll shoot an
Oh,
email
sorry.
to yeah, I'll shoot an email to their teacher and be like, "Hi, is there any way that you can please excuse this person, this person, this person for this reason? Thank you so much." We actually also have a partners club at our school. So those are students that are on like an approved list, and some of my choir students are on that list. So
Good,
teachers,
yeah.
when they see that like in the subject, like, yes, you can go, be excused.
Hmm.
And they'll come in and do it with me. And the plan was for the kids, some of my choir kids, to do it with them with the on the extra boom whackers for the concert.
Hmm.
Um, and mostly those partner cub kids who are like
Sure.
exposed and are not going to be like surprised by anything. And no, are just very like general. We're doing this all together. But yes, so they come in as well with me and help out when I go and see that classroom.
Good, good. So you have students who are able to boom whacker on their own, and then you have enough help that the students who need help have help.
Yeah. And then it's nice to just have everybody in one classroom as well
Mm.
so that like the kids who are kind of hesitant like see the other kids
Yes.
who have done boom whackers before and like know what they're doing with the boom whackers. It kind of helps them get along and like,
Sure.
okay, I can hit this a little harder than I normally would.
Yeah.
Uh, and they
Well,
encourage them.
that's true, for all of us. We all have, humans are very social beings, and it's difficult for us to walk into a new situation where we're not sure of ourselves. We're going to hide until we know what we're doing.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah, so I think that that's fun that we see that same thing in people who don't feel like us.
right.
But they're still us enough. And I think that that's my biggest thing. And don't let me speak for you,
Oh
but
yeah.
my biggest thing is as you work with people with disabilities, you find out that they're just like everybody else. They just, they have parts of their brain or parts of their body or parts of their whatever that just don't work the same way everybody else's do.
Right. And I think that's a part of like the stigma is that as a teacher, like just my experience, I don't know if this is anybody else's experience, like I'm so afraid of like offending with like the wrong words or the wrong actions, which is why like before I went in there, I was like, okay, like what can I say? Do I
Mhm.
cater XYZ, whatever? And the teacher was like, no. I talked to him like any other student would. And I was like,
Yes.
great, totally fine. We can do that. Because I
Yes.
need to prepare myself so I'm not like doing something and like being someone who I'm not. And like, I don't want to belittle anybody.
Well,
So,
sure.
like having that conversation with that teacher was like very okay for me and kind of opened myself up to an experience out of my comfort zone, which
Hmm.
go out of their comfort zone. So we're out of our
Yes.
comfort zones together.
Yes. But and if I can speak for myself here, and hopefully it's common with others, the fact that you were giving them the opportunity to do something that most people don't give them the opportunity to do already puts you in the you're okay pile.
Yay. I love
Because most people would say, no, I don't know if we can do that. And, one of the things that we're finding and that Ms. Petrie pointed out to us earlier this season on the podcast is the very first step to teaching students with disabilities successfully is just believing that there's a way.
well,
You
yeah.
know, yeah, there's 9,000 reasons why, somebody with one working hand shouldn't be a woodwind player. But there are two or three ways that we can make it happen.
Right.
So if we have two or three ways, we can pick any one of those two or three ways and just see what happens. And even, like in your case, you had a wonderful plan. And I hope others will, I hope you will, do something in the spring or, next Christmas or whatever. But even though your plan, had a few little logistic hiccups this first time, it's still a wonderful plan. And I think the fact, number one, that you're trying, your students and your teachers are going to see that you're trying. And then once you do succeed, you're going to create an entirely new subgroup of young musicians who, wouldn't have otherwise had the chance.
Which is the goal, right?
Yes.
So having like kids get into music that like normally wouldn't or haven't gotten the opportunity to. I mean, that's important to me. So yeah, I think you're totally right.
Yeah. And I'm super excited, because this is your first year teaching. It would be so super easy to be like, I'm a first year teacher. I really am already overwhelmed. And I know you are, even though you look perfectly calm and cool.
Sure.
But yeah, I know. So, but I think it would be easy, and it's always easy to find an excuse not to do something. But, just to, find that one way. And, you have that teacher who was already excited. We've been doing this for several years. And we're excited. And, having somebody who comes to you and asks for it gives you a partner in crime and it doesn't feel as heavy on your shoulders.
Right.
But yeah, so that's really cool. So how many times do you think if you gave them a new Boomwhacker YouTube video, how long do you think it would take this group that you've specifically worked with to pick it up?
I don't know. It kind of depends on the one. If we're doing something like super simple, I think a couple of weeks would be okay. If I'm going once or twice a week. Whereas like my uh gen ed class would be fine like on the first or second try.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that like familiarization to be like at the product level uh,
Sure.
would take a couple weeks, um, maybe a month or two.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
but if it were more complicated, I do think that like for them to be comfortable with it, it would take probably like a school year.
Okay. And I mean, that's good to know. That's one of the things that we do with all of our groups. I think I can program this piece of music. We could play, or in your case, sing, in X amount of time. But this piece of music, we're going to need twice that time, so that's important to know. And yeah, I'd rather give all students a little longer than they need than rush them.
Right.
And yeah, especially to the product. And I know we're talking about this in class currently, that process versus product.
It's been on the brain.
Yeah, but even if you're process oriented, you still have to put out a quality product.
Right. 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 Right.
And especially with a group of disabled young people who are probably not expected to do much. I think there's even a greater need to put out a product that people are going to go, ooh, I didn't know they could do that, which isn't what we want, but it's a starting place.
The thing that I say about all the students I have is that as long as your mama at the end of the day looks at you and goes, "My baby did so good," that is the goal.
True. That's true.
We're not excellent sight readers in the beginning. That's okay. But as long as your mama or your grandmama or your daddy or whoever
You got,
looks at you and goes, "Yes, I'm so proud. Let me video." We are good with that. Let's start there.
And you have to be good sight readers before you can be excellent sight readers, and you have to be excellent before you can be superior, and so on and so forth. So,
right.
Yeah, the process leads to the product. So,
right.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to me. This was wonderful, and I'm hoping that other people will see your very attainable plan as something, where when we say just any opportunity is better than no opportunity, we mean any opportunity, because you have the students who can sing with the choir and they can perform in the group. And then you have the students who might not be able to do that, but they could play boomwhackers.
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Center for Music Education at Georgia College is excited to offer a classroom instrument repair workshop in conjunction with the Band Instrument Repair Academy in June 2026 at the historic Georgia College and State University campus in Milledgeville, Georgia. Contact tina.holmes-davis@gcsu.edu for the registration link. Space is limited, so register today. The Belle McCroy Music Collective empowers music educators and student leaders through purposeful teaching, artistic excellence, and transformative leadership. Grounded in fundamentals, driven by equity, and inspired by community, we cultivate musical independence and champion the responsible stewardship of each individual's musical gifts. Through coaching, consulting, and collaboration, we help music programs thrive, one note, one leader, one classroom at a time. For more information, visit bellemcroymusiccollective.com. That's Belle McCroy Music Collective, all one word.com.
This podcast was created and recorded by Dr. Tina Holmes Davis. It was edited and produced by Landon Frazier. Music composed and performed by Brent MacDonald. More Able Than Dis is an initiative of the Centre for Music Education at Georgia College.